Georgia, Clemson, the other game at noon. Man, I'm not patting myself on the back so much here, but this went exactly like I thought, like Brian and I talked about from Clemson Football Live. I thought that Clemson had uh, a really nice defensive performance in the first half, and then they just got worn out. Right, this is kind of what we expected. Kind of a trademark of where I think Clemson is right now. Really, really good defense, kind of stagnant offense. Again, Dabo's not on the Dabo even said it. Like when you play a team like Georgia, you get exposed. This is not. I don't think there's a referendum on him and his program. This specific game, Georgia does this to a lot of people. Remember, so. But I do think we're going to have to see a lot from Clemson. They've got two big games coming up. They play they play against NC State, and then they play at Florida State a few weeks later. Like I think those are two of their next four games. They got a couple of cupcakes sandwiched in there too that they should win pretty easily. But how do they play at NC State, or how to play against NC State? I'm sorry, and then how do they play at FSU? If they split, they're probably fine because that's just one conference loss. If they win both, they're in really good shape in the ACC. If they were to lose both, I think the wheels kind of come off. I'm not telling you I think that happens. Florida State's got their own struggles. NC State didn't look amazing this weekend by any means. So we'll see a little bit more about NC State when they play Tennessee. We'll see more about Florida State when they play Boston College on Monday night. But yeah, I think that it's to be determined for Clemson. Cade had a couple of nice throws, but he just doesn't look like he's. Would it shock you if Cade? I saw a tweet this morning. Would it shock you if Cade and DJ weren't the starting quarterbacks when Clemson goes to Florida State and plays? Maybe a little bit. Maybe it would certainly surprise me, but I don't know that I would be just like shocked out of my mind. I think that Clemson's defense still really, really good. That D line is serious, but eventually Georgia was going to break through. I'll also say I didn't think Georgia looked super sharp to start the game. I thought that they just, Carson Beck looked like he was out of sync. Not having McConkey, not having Bowers there maybe was a big deal. But they looked out of sync. Man, they're, for all that's made about ETN, obviously they've got other running backs that are just elite. Really nice debut there for Georgia's running backs. I thought that was a classic Georgia game where, hey, we're not going to make the big mistake. We're not going to put ourselves in harm's way. It may take us a while to get going, and then we're going to win this thing going away. That's kind of how I thought it would go. I thought if Clemson could find a way to stay in it in the fourth quarter, maybe they'd have a shot at keeping it close, covering the spread. The spread started doing weird stuff. I'm really not super certain why it fell from, whatever it was, 14 down to like 11. But I snatched it up at 14, and then I snatched it up at 11 too. And so that was weird to me. I don't know what the thinking there was, or if that was public money or sharp money or what, but that one didn't make sense to me at all. Georgia's going to be really good this year. I mean, that's a really talented Clemson team. Clemson's got some wide receivers that I thought made some nice plays yesterday. Cage is not enough, going up. It's hard to judge. Is Clemson that bad, or is Georgia just that good? Well, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. It's probably not all of either one. But Clemson certainly didn't look good. And again, I don't think that's the referendum. I don't think that's the final calling card on their season. But I do think they need to start to turn things around pretty quickly. It gets easier, right? I'm not going to put NC State and Florida State on Georgia's level, but from an overall standpoint, I don't know that it gets that much easier. You got to go play tough teams. Got to go to Tallahassee, no matter what their issues are. That's always a tough place to play. Clemson's got to figure stuff out quickly. Georgia looks every bit the part. Wear down a really good defense and ended up putting 30 plus on them. Like that's really impressive. And to do most of it in the second half. They're a legit team, right? And there's a reason they're number one. There's a reason they're picked to win it all. Every year for the last however many years. They're really good. They have to get off to better starts. I think once they get into SEC play, they're going to play better teams than Clemson for sure. The schedule's pretty tough this year for Georgia. It wouldn't shock me if they lost one, maybe even two at some point. They got the big one with Alabama coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm going to try and be there for that. They've got work to do. But I think Georgia's going to be really good this year. And I'm not, shocker, right? Like I'm not breaking any news there, but yeah, Georgia looks every bit the part of a top three team in the country. And I don't really think that's super debatable. Kirby's going to have them focused. They're going to be ready to go every week. They look like they were having fun yesterday in the second half. That team's going to be legit, and they're going to hurt a lot of feelings this year. It all kind of turns. I know they've got again, games in between, but it all kind of turns to that Bama game. And what does that look like? What are they able to do? Are they able to avenge that SEC championship loss from last year? If so, I think they'll be in really good shape. If not, then the question still kind of remains. All right, you can do it all, but you got to beat Bama at some point. So I think they will. I'm picking Georgia early in that game. We'll see how things go. Want to see Bama against, Wisconsin didn't look very good this weekend either, so maybe it doesn't even matter. But would like to see a few more Bama games. They play USF next week. USF had a nice win against Bethune, but certainly not the same level of competition there. USF, Wisconsin, as Alabama will see when they play Georgia.